Greetings, adventurers. I'm Shay Zeldis, and I'm here on the Rated R Bamster podcast to talk about For Triumph.
Guys, welcome to the podcast, episode 68, I believe. If I'm wrong, Drac will probably correct me. Joining me today as well, guys, as I mentioned before, is Draconis. Draconis, say hi.
Yodelay-hee-hoo.
Okay, that's a bit Yoda school of Jedi lightsabers. Right, guys, basically for this is that we're trying to change the format of a podcast somewhat. We feel it's a bit too formal, a bit not funny, all that stuff. We're trying to reinvent the podcast a slight touch. So basically what we're going to do is pick some topics and go full tit? Oh, God. I got things on the brain today. Full retard, basically, and full tilt in whichever direction we think is funniest. So, Drac, what is the first topic on your agenda today?
Well, this is something that keeps showing up in my social feed lately, which it's an interesting little device and app. And I know you're probably going to come in and be like, oh, these things have existed for years. I have something that I've used for the last couple of years on my cars at home, but the device is called Fixed, or at least the app and the device both. It's FIXD, and you can find more information about it at fixedapp.com. And basically, it's just a little device that'll plug into the OBD port in your car and connects up to your phone through Bluetooth. Now, at least for me, the one thing that's made this different from many of the other ones I've seen, like the one that I've used over the last several years, it just gives me a code. Whereas this device and the app that goes along with it gives you a lot more information about what's going on with your car. So if you ever get a check engine light, or if you just want to check in on how things are going, there's a lot of information you can get out of that app.
And what's stopping people from, I don't know, going to a garage and actually getting the code fixed? Because normally when a car flashes up a code, Drac, you meant to get it fucking fixed. Engine management lights come on for a reason. The car's breaking. Fix it. Why do you want to delete the code? I imagine you can delete the code, because that's essentially what happens. Essentially, sometimes with cars, you can basically, switch it off and switch it on again. It normally clears the code. Why do you want to break your own car, dude? These apps are dangerous, because people go, oh, it's nothing. Oh, nothing. That banging noise in the front engine, nothing. No. I'll just delete the code. It'll be fine. Why, Drac? Why?
Well, there's certainly something to that, but let me ask you a question before I answer yours. And that is, do the garages, or as you say, garage, do they charge to read that code for you and tell you what's wrong with your car?
Let me enlighten you here. In the United Kingdom, to plug your car into an OBD sensor with the correct bits and pieces at an independent garage, you just rock up there and say, very sorry to bother you, all polite, at the garage, not garage, right? And you say, please help me, and they will help you, and they will not charge you a damn thing. Go to a dealer, however, and they will quite literally skin your bones, man. They will harvest your organs, mate. If you're going to a main dealer, you're a freaking idiot. Go to independent, all right? They tend to want customers, and if they give you the first time free, it's like a crack addict. They give you the first time free, and then when you go back, then they'll harvest your organs, So, 9 times out of 10 in the UK, you can get those sorts of things sorted out for free. But then this is, land of the free. England, United Kingdom, Britain, home of the free, land of the awesome, I don't know what it's like in Gettysburg over there,
Don't make me start playing that Team America theme music.
Well, the way America's going right now, mate, I don't think it's America. Oh, fuck no.
Well, in response to the answer you gave, there are some garages here that will check that light for you for free, but many of them will actually charge you to hook your car up and to tell you what's going on. And with some of the vehicles, the way that they test the pressure through the gas line system and all that, I've seen the check engine light come on, and the only thing that's wrong with your car is your gas light or your gas cap isn't tightened. So simple little things like that. And yes, there are definitely going to be codes where you need to take this into a mechanic and have it done. But when I used to work on my old car, I was using the little device that I have, and I'd have to go then look up the codes and stuff. But there were things that I could fix myself, either by watching YouTube videos, crazy enough, or, doing a little bit of reading and research. But there were still some other things I ended up having to take it in to get done. But at least then I knew what the car was telling me needed to be done. And I wasn't walking into a mechanic shop and they're like, oh, well, you need this. And then they tack on like 4 other things that supposedly need to be done, but maybe didn't need to be done. So this is kind of a check system where you can plug this in, you can get a bunch of information off your car. If it's something as simple as you just need to tighten your gas cap because you were a numbskull and you didn't tighten it, then you fix the problem and you're done right there. If it's something else, then you can make the determination based on your own skill or ability on whether or not you think you can try to fix it yourself or take it to a mechanic.
I'm with you there. All right, I'm with you there. Sometimes it's just a simple case of, right, awesome, change air filter, you know, whatever. But if you are so freaking bone-idle thick that you cannot tighten, as you would call it, your gas cap, or in the UK, fuel filler cap, yeah? Talk correctly, sir. Then you deserve to get ripped off by a fucking garage, yeah? It's a fuel filler cap, not a gas cap. Yeah, gas cap. It sounds so... there. Doesn't matter. I'm taking the piss out of you today, mate, because I feel the need to. Anyway, if you are so thick, get back to my original point. If you're so freaking dumb that you cannot tighten your own gas cap, then you deserve to get ripped off because you're a freaking numbskull for not realizing that you're an idiot. That's my retort to that, sir. But yeah.
Well, you say that now, but wait till your little girl gets old enough to be driving on her own.
You say that, mate. You fucking say that. That's the first thing. Come, child. I will learn you car. Come, see this? This car. You fix. There. Throw a spanner at it and car fixed. Done. See? Well done. There we go. Done. That's what I'm going to teach my daughter and my son. Both of them are going to be fixing their cars. And they're not going to get fucking ripped off in America land.
Well, if you're driving your car here in America land, that's an impressive feat because you either found some way to drive it across the ocean or you shipped it here and...
Is it true that what I heard, the speed limit on the motorways in America place is 55 miles an hour?
It depends on where you are. A lot of the highways and stuff are probably 55. I know that freeways here in California are only 65, unfortunately.
I can't believe that. That is just... Are you guys built on go slow and granny mobiles and Zimmer frames? Because in England, in the UK, the land of the free, home of the awesome, okay, it's 70 miles an hour. Granted, that's maximum, okay? And often the police tend to look the other way when you're doing 80/90. That tends to be the running sort of thing with coppers in the UK.
Well, I think especially here in California, you have to keep a couple of different things in mind. Well, not just California for the first point, but that would be that these speed limits have been around for ages. And I don't know when the last time was that they actually upped the speed limit. But my opinion is that the speed limits were made for when cars maybe weren't as easy to control as they are now. And there's been a lot of differences in that. But the other thing is here in California, most people don't see weather. I mean, all Southern California anyway, everybody's so used to just sunshine and dry roads that I swear to God, once it even sprinkles a little bit, you think everybody's pulling over to the side of the road to get tire chains or something because that's like they lose their freaking minds. People either ignore the rain and keep speeding on like it's nothing and then spin out, or they drive so freaking slow you'd swear it was a month of Sundays.
Okay, right. I will enlighten you to a little bit of history that happens with the UK speeding limit. Back in the day of Sticks and Stones and AC Cobras, there was a gentleman, you might know him, all right, called Shelby. He test drove one of his Le Mans Cobras on the M1 many years ago, back when Shelby was king of the hill, and he went so freaking fast, a newspaper reported it, and basically everyone fucking lost their bloody minds, and they imposed a temporary measure speed limit, to the M1. Before then, the M1 had no speed limit. Basically, it was the Autobahn of England. Now it's just a fucking road that's full of motorworks and roadworks and guys sitting on their asses eating pies and smoking cigarettes, which is what I've seen. I hope that's not the case wherever you are, but roadworks tend to be fat dudes sitting on their asses. It's bloody annoying. But ever since an American imposed a speed limit in England, it's been boring.
Well, it's funny you bring up your Autobahn.
It was the Autobahn, mate. And the Autobahn, believe it or not, the same thing with the Autobahn. There's so many bloody trucks on the Autobahn, all right? And there's so many roadworks on the M1 in the UK that you're going 55 bloody miles anyway, which is a pain in the ass. It's so slow. I don't know how you do it. I really don't.
Well, I will say most people here usually drive 70, 75, a little more. And I think that, or at least been my experience, that as long as you're keeping it between 70 and 75 and flowing with the traffic, the cops don't bother you anyway. But it's interesting you mentioned the Autobahn. That's actually kind of funny. I lived in Germany for 4 years when I was a teenager, and I remember my dad, he came home one day. We opened up the mail. We had a speeding ticket from driving on the Autobahn, and he wanted to frame that that up there, because you think of the Autobahn as just not having a speed limit at all, but there are a few sections where they come through towns and stuff like that I guess it does have a limited speed.
To be brutally honest, you're right. Now, I really wish that the UK would adopt what the Isle of Man has done. Have you ever heard of the little island of Man? It's not for men. It's a little island called Man. And they've got no speed limits on the island at all, apart from town and city centers. That's when there's a strict 30-mile-an-hour limit at all. But the second you leave the city limits, guess what? Go as fast as you like, mate. Welcome to the Cathedral of Speed. Have fun, enjoy. And I honestly think that should be the case. If you crash and you kill yourself and you do these things, it's your fault. Why? Yeah. But then that's Bamm's opinion on many things. It's your fault. Why do I have to suffer for your problems? That sort of thing.
There's a big part of me that's really behind or cheers on the whole Darwin theory of, let life sort itself out.
Exactly.
But I do get why they impose these speed limits, because of some of the idiots out there that wouldn't just crash and take themselves off the road, but crash and take other people with them. So
that's
a balancing act.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I don't have a rebuttal to that. No, that is a good point. That's a valid point. I'll let that one stand. Right, we've discussed cars and silly things. Now, what's next, Drac?
Steam is changing their gifting rules. So if you're used to...
Yawn. Steam, computers, PC, yawn.
Oh, well, I could bring up the other article that says PC gaming is becoming more and more popular, and they expect it to continue getting popular over the next 5 years.
Bollocks.
So.
Bullshit. I don't see anywhere that Alienware or Packard Bell or Microsoft has sold, 45 million units compared to the PlayStation, or, that sort of thing. I don't see any of that news becoming popular by 1, 2, 3 people. I don't see the huge swathes of people buying these units or consoles or laptops. I don't see the
just you wait.
I don't see it, right?
Not only that, but PlayStation VR is PSVR is going to be great. But then, depending on how popular VR becomes, a lot of people who really want to delve into that, and I think there's probably going to be more options for VR games on the PC than there will be on PSVR. There's going to be plenty of options on PSVR. There's going to be certainly some fun games on PSVR. I just think that there are going to be more options for people to play VR games on the PC.
Honestly, I really hope VR isn't a gimmick. I really hope that VR's not a gimmick, because I would really like to play some VR. Yeah, I don't want it to be a gimmick. No. But anyway, back to the point I made originally. There's no freaking ways that the PC guys have managed to sell something like 45. I think the high number's higher. And that's just PlayStation, mind you. The Xbox sold something like 25. And God forbid me mentioning this, but the Nintendo Switch sold like 10. 10 units, not 10 million, 10 units. So,
yeah, okay.
So if you add
I think you're missing a few zeros.
No, actually, I'm not missing it. It just sold 10 units. These people saying it sold out, they only ordered 10. Yeah, Nintendo's crashing. Yeah, done.
Well,
so
you got to remember, too, that those numbers are completely out of context, and you can make statistics say anything you want.
Correct.
I have a gaming PC. I have a PS4 and a Nintendo Switch. I also had an Xbox 360. So, I mean, it's just because I have one doesn't mean I don't have the others.
So where do you live again? I'm going to come into your house, break into your house, rob that Switch, stick it on the wall. Because, it's a Switch, just on-off.
I thought you didn't want to switch. I mean, I thought you were satisfied with your little pillow. I'm going to rob it and break it is what I'm getting at, mate. I'm going to snap it into 2 pieces. It's going to be on, and when I break it, it's going to be off. I thought you were satisfied with the little pillow that you cuddle at night that looks like the Switch.
No, mate. I've got a body pillow, mate. There's a body pillow. I've got a body pillow of some YouTuber or whatever have you. That is awesome sauce. Yeah.
So anyway, back to the topic at hand that we got so far sidetracked from. Steam is changing their gifting rules. So a lot of people take advantage of these third-party key reselling sites like G2A or CD Keys, and they're going to be making some changes in how gifting works within the Steam system so that it's not so easy for people to take advantage of that.
Okay. I care because... Why?
Because you do occasionally log into your PC and use Steam.
I do, actually. I do use Steam. Yeah.
Actually, the biggest place where this might affect us is because we're across the pond from each other. If there's a large enough price between regions on a specific game, you won't be able to gift that game to a friend of yours. So for instance, if it was on sale here for maybe $20 and the game is typically say 40 or $50, but they're doing some kind of crazy flash sale here in the US, I couldn't buy copies and then gift them to you guys.
Really? That kind of sucks, bro. That kind of sucks.
That part of it certainly does. I mean, if you buy it, especially if you buy it within the Steam system and you're gifting it to someone on your friends list, that kind of sucks.
Okay, right. Yawn, move on. Next topic.
Was that your wolf howl?
Ah, yes, that was my Wulfs, yes. So basically, guys, I came across an article because I like to live life on the other side of the track, quite literally, the skewy, wobbly, bumpy track. I came across a news article that I thought was quite funny. Wolves are slowly being reintroduced to Denmark. That I thought was fucking hilarious. So I am charging G-Talk, our residential Dane, to make sure that there's wolves in Denmark. You have to go out there, live in a tent with your broken back and wheelchair, and make sure these wolves live. That's it. I'm sending our residential cripple out to the woods. Hopefully he will be fine, and they won't attack him. That's the idea.
So there's been a shortage of wolves, and you're, quote, sending the residential cripple to the woods to keep the wolves alive. What are you sending him as food?
Meals on wheels, motherfucker!
Man, I hope you and G are in the same room sometime in the near future where he can just slap you real good.
No, honestly, that's what I thought. Because I know he lives in Belgium, but he's a Dane. It's like, these wolves are being reintroduced. I mean, they killed their wolves like 1 billion years ago, right? You know, for clothes and whatever have you. And I thought that was a bit cruel. So we need to balance it a bit. You know, we've got a Meals on Wheels. We can wheel him into the fucking forest.
So you're trying to make it easier for them to reintegrate by making their prey easier to catch at the start of this.
Exactly. You see, you were my train of thought. I thought it was I think I'm hilarious, but a lot of people probably don't. But I just thought, balance the issue a bit, help them reintegrate themselves into the forest, the little woodland critters and whatever have you. And if you watch South Park, you'll know what I'm talking about. And wheel him into the fucking forest.
Wait a minute. If this was a South Park episode, wouldn't G be going into the forest in his wheelchair with like a submachine gun or something? They're coming right for us.
No, I was thinking more, Timmy. But that's a different fucking thing. That's a bit cruel, I think, calling G Timmy. But yeah, it's that was my train of thought. Give them food. Help them reintegrate. Yeah, that was my train of thought. This one. He's so gonna kill me. I think I'm on interview duty for the next 3 years at least.
How is that a punishment? I need to mail him an American baseball bat so the next time you two are in the same room, he can get you back.
Oh no, mate, no. He had to catch me first. Let's face it.
All right. Well, I guess I'll move on to the last thing that I got on our notes for
Please do,
for us
because
to
I'm
talk
digging
about.
a deep hole here. I'm digging a fucking deep hole here. Just move next topic so I can stop digging a hole, please.
Oh, great. Well, since you're asking me to move on to the next topic, I picked up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe
fuck me,
Friday.
I fell into that one. Fucking hell. Why? Drac, why? Why? You bring up PC gaming and the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo so fucking often, it's like, oh, God, again. Why?
I like to talk about the things that I like.
Mate, Nintendo sold like 10 consoles. Mate, seriously, get rid of it. Get a proper console. Like, I tell you what, I'll even let you off with an Xbox One. Fuck, get an Xbox One, mate. Fuck the Switch off, get the One.
Why would I buy another console? I already have a PS4 and a Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Got a PS4. You don't need a Switch. Send the Switch to, I don't know, needy kids in Africa or whatever have you. That will do them a lot of good. Trust me.
A, I can't take the PS4 as a mobile gaming platform.
You can.
B,
put it in a bag. It's mobile, see?
B, yeah, but then I need a screen and everything else. B, I can't play Mario Kart on a PS4.
That's a good point. I haven't thought of a witty, silly remark to come back to it. But who the fuck wants to play Mario Kart anyway? You got Gran Turismo. It's a better game.
Seriously, are you kidding me? Have you ever played Mario Kart?
Many times before, when I was like 4, 5. That's when I played Mario Kart.
How young are you?
Mate, I'm pretty young. So, I'm young, old. So I've grown up. I've realized that Nintendo and Switch is all nostalgia because that's all they're banking on, okay? And that's what you're buying. You're buying the nostalgia. The next thing they're going to come out is the Smash Bros. For the Switch. And the next thing that'll come out is a Sonic for the Switch. And a Mario for the Switch. And a Luigi Mansion for the Switch. That's all they fucking do for the Nintendo systems. They don't do any new original games. I will bite my tongue and eat my words when they make an original game. It's new and wada for the Switch. Because that, yeah, done.
Okay, so does an indie market count?
No.
Damn, I was hoping I was going to get you to eat some paper. No, you're right. I mean, they do bank on nostalgia. I understand that. And a lot of the games they make are part 2, part 4, part 8, part 20, or a variation of, they've got these collection of characters that are popular. It's like Disney with Mickey Mouse and that kind of thing. I get that. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. And I love Mario Kart. I love the hell out of Mario Kart. It's been one of my favorite racing games for a long time. Even though after you get past the 100cc mark, when you get to 150 and 200cc, that game cheats like I'm just going to bleep it out there. But, it's a hell of a, or as I was saying earlier, it's a shell of a fun time.
Yeah, okay. Drac, get off Mario Kart. Can't play Gran Turismo. Go play Grand Theft Auto. Shit, I'll even let you play Forza, because Forza on the Xbox One is brilliant, but it still doesn't beat Gran Turismo, because Gran Turismo, I still believe, is the king of the hill when it comes to gaming. Gaming on cars and sort of stuff, Yeah.
I've played some of those. They are fun. One of the things that I miss from a realistic racing game, I like having weapons on the car that I can do stuff with, to interact with the other racers and affect how the race comes out.
Please refer back to my last Grand Theft Auto. Done.
Yeah, but if I was going to play that, I'd play it on the PC. I wouldn't play it on console.
Again, no need for a Switch. Grand Theft Auto. There's no need for a Switch. Cut the Switch from your life. Gut that fucking cancer or remove that mole or whatever with fire. With fire. Get a hot pokery thing and stab it. There's no need for a Switch. At all, mate. At all.
Yeah, well, I'll be enjoying some Mario Kart, some Zelda and whatnot and on my vacation this June.
Cut price
with
Skyrim.
a couple of beers.
Cut price Skyrim. Okay, that's all Zelda is nowadays. Cut price Skyrim and I'm going to say cut price Grand Theft Auto Turismo, whatever have you. Done.
All right, I'm going to cut you off right there. You better pay some respect, son.
No respect.
If it wasn't for games like Zelda, you wouldn't have games like Skyrim.
I disagree.
The other thing to keep in mind is, okay, are there similarities? Yes. I think there's probably far more similarities between a game like Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda. But, again, inspired by Zelda in some ways.
No.
But the thing is, look, is it an action adventure game? In this case, third person, is there magic or something, some kind of technology that appears as magic? Sure, yes. You got your swords and sorcery combat. Okay, great. You got these great environments. Does Zelda try to look anything like Skyrim? No. It's a completely different art style, a completely different world and story. Not that I think it should need to either. But I can still enjoy both of those games. In fact, one of the things I've said a few times now is when I played Skyrim, I got so lost in how beautiful the world was, I just went around exploring. I never got back to the storyline. The nice thing about the Switch is when I pick up Skyrim for the Switch and I can take it with me, maybe I'll finally find the time to get back into playing the story.
I would agree with that. It's pretty. I'm not going to lie there. Looking at Zelda, it's pretty. It plays well. It's pretty. It does what you want it to do. But seriously, I honestly think that Skyrim, Mass Effect, Andromeda, and what's the other one? Fallout. Much better games. And I don't think they're inspired from Zelda. There are games before Zelda that were adventure-based orientated games. If you go back to the, I was going to say something there, but I forgot. But it's like an old wooden box thing with a thicky stick, and you are fuck me. Oh, what's the name called? It's when you were going across a plain with a wagon and you always died of fucking dysentery.
Oh, Oregon Trail.
That's it, Oregon Trail, that's it. That, mate, honestly, is the first adventure game. And before you say anything, yes, I have one of those. And yes, I have the ET cartridge as well.
I had an Atari as a kid. There were a lot of fun games on that system, too.
That's the name, Atari. Believe it or not, dude, my favorite game was when you were running around like a track and you had to lasso, was it horses and cows and shit? I used to play that game, man. Fuck yeah. That was good games, man.
You remember Pitfall? That was a lot of fun too.
Didn't play Pitfall because I had E.T. And E.T. is so fucking confusing. Poorly designed, poorly made, poorly built. Everything killed you or everything healed you. You could never fucking get out of those bloody holes that you were in because some other reason or something. But yes, I still have that fucking game and console. I've just got to get it out the attic. So, yeah.
That ET game might actually be worth some money. Wasn't that one of the ones that ended up in a landfill somewhere and the cartridges were worth a ton of money or something like that?
Don't know. Actually, I don't know.
You should probably look that up.
Oh, shit. I might need to go to see my grandmother because she's got it in her attic. Fuck. I didn't know that. I'm going to go have a look. I'm going to give her a ring. Oi! Oi! You old bat! I'm coming round. I'm gonna pinch some shit. I don't speak to my grandmother like that. Don't anyone ever speak to grandmothers like that. They will fucking murder you. Don't ever speak to your grandmother like that, guys. Seriously, don't. Whew, that's a world of hurt coming your way. They might be 80, but my God, they can swing.
Yeah, if you're within reach, look out.
Fucking run.
All right, well, on that note, I think we should probably wrap this up. We've got an interview coming up with some developers from a game called Fort Triumph. It was a pretty fun interview to talk about, too, so definitely stick around for that.
Are these the guys that I had to bail on because I had an unexpected trip to Wales because I had to go deliver something?
Yes, yeah, you had to bail and I got to slide in.
Yeah, right. These are the guys, right, guys, if you guys listen to this podcast, dudes, I'm very, very, very bloody sorry. A customer of mine said, drop my car off in Wales, and I couldn't refuse because he paid quite a lot of money for this car, and I had to go drive the bloody car to Wales, and I didn't get back in time because of the British rail system. It's shockingly horrible. Shockingly horrible. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I would have loved to be there, but thankfully Drac stepped in for me. I'm apologizing. I'm so sorry, guys. But your game is interesting, and I want to play it.
I'm actually going to play it some today so I can get some footage for the Monday's podcast, so.
Happy days.
Hey everybody, Guy from Fort Triumph over here. I was interrupted in the middle of animating a frying pan, but I guess Bamsters, the Rated R podcast, are fine guys, so I'm just having fun today with them.
And welcome back. Now it's a segment where we usually have an interview, and guess what? We have another one this time as well. My co-host today, yes, it's Dracona, so say hi, Drac.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode, and this time with us we have Guy and Shay to talk about their game called Fort Triumph.
Evening, everyone. Glad to be here.
Hey yo, so I'm Guy. I'm one of the game designers and also the animator on Fort Triumph.
Guy, I'm sorry to say this, you probably heard it before, and yeah, I said apologies, but Guy Wulfus, please tell me you're a werewolf, right?
I was bitten by a werewolf when I was 3 years old, and ever since I have this lupus kind of disease that also turns me into a wolf on nights. It's hard to live with, but I just deal with it.
Yeah, I said apologies, it's just that's the perfect name for a movie or cartoon werewolf, Guy Wulfus. It just, that works. But as you say, you're the animator, lead gameplay design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Shay, you are the PR marketing lead for this game.
Yep, mostly a content person, but yeah, in the team I handle PR and marketing as well.
Ooh, doing content as well. Good. Sounds like we have just the right people to talk about this game. Now, I looked at the game. I actually played it because you guys were awesome and put up demos for both Windows, OS X, and Linux. I'd just say thank you. That was good thing to do. And it's a nice little thing. It's that whole little tactical, move your characters around, take cover, and in this case, throw lightning bolts and fireballs at things. That worked for me. But it's early days, and I guess this demo doesn't show us much about the story. So my first question, what is the world that this game, the Fort Triumph, takes place in?
Well, in terms of we separate story into several different layers, basically. And the layer you're asking about, the overarching story, is something we've been very careful not to say too much about. But what we can say is the world is definitely not a natural place, and at least not the way we perceive it. We know from legends that it has been created rather than always been there or any scientific theory. Everyone who lives in the world knows knows it. And we also know that at some point something went wrong we're not certain when the game begins what exactly went wrong and when, or who's involved, but that's part of the main theme that we're exploring, at least in our initial content.
So it's artificial world. It's not, as you say, generated in a more natural way, but something created it.
The gods created it. Everybody knows it. But how exactly they made it and where they came from and who are they, that's a matter of, different opinions.
Well, that sounds like a potential, storyline, very diverse storyline. I'm not going to make any references to real world things at this point. But then can you at least tell us, the name Fort Triumph? I assume that's a fort somewhere inside the game world.
Yep, definitely. Fort Triumph, well, basically, in current days, it's more like the ruins of Fort Triumph, a very ancient piece of architecture that people think was around even before whatever cataclysm hit the world. Currently, it's ruined, but it still is one of the more stable and more safe places to be, especially if you're trying to find ways to change the current state of affairs. Because the fort used to sit on one of, well, I should backtrack a bit. Around the world, there are quite a few magical leaks, places where the lifeblood, the magic of the world spills out, probably a result of something that happened to it. But wherever the magic leaks into the world, both the environments and whatever living creatures are around change, whether it's physically or in other ways. So Fort Triumph is used to sit on top of one of the major leaks and stabilize it. It used to have a function before it was ruined, but nobody really knows what it was right now. But one way or the other, nowadays, it's practically the only safe place to study the magical leaks, to understand what's happening to the world itself. And that's why it is one of the cores, let's say, of the story we're building.
At the beginning of the game, do you start out at Fort Triumph, or are you starting out on a journey to Fort Triumph?
Probably on a journey to Fort Triumph. There will probably be some form of introduction to the world in general before, starting to focus in on any specific place. We're also really into world map exploration. We're working on it right now, and a part of that means Fort Triumph cannot be, it's not like your base in XCOM or anything like that. It's more of one of the places in the world that you know about and that have a certain story to them, certain NPCs, certain quest lines originating from maybe. And there might be some aspect of, spending resources of whatever sort we eventually put in, etc. But the fort is not going to be like the place you are at. Where you are at is on the road, exploring the world, finding secrets, having adventures. That's what most of the game time is going to be dedicated to.
So you already mentioned XCOM, and I guess this is one of the things that come up with this game. It's XCOM in a fantasy setting, at least somewhat. It's that tactical, as I said earlier, move around, take cover, turn-based, always be aware of your surroundings kind of gameplay that we also see in XCOM, but fantasy world.
Yeah, so actually it would have been best if Adam was here to answer you for this one, because he's actually the guy who founded the Fort Triumph. And it all started because he was playing the new XCOM, the Enemy Unknown, and he was blown away by it. He was so amazed by how fun it is and how deep the tactical layer was. It just felt like at first, let's make something similar. He didn't have any real agenda behind it. He just wanted to start making a game and thought, yeah, let's do something like that, but with swords or, I don't know, magic and stuff like that. And that's just how it all began. And eventually it became that he thought, like, what else can we add? So that's how Fort Triumph became to be what it is today, which is based upon XCOM, but has a lot of more, I guess, more tactical depth to it in terms of the environmental interactions and all the elemental stuff we want to add. That's basically it. And why it's like XCOM in that manner.
Well, that was something I noticed on the Kickstarter page that I thought was really interesting, was the ways that you can interact with and use the environment to your advantage in combat. Talk a little bit more about that.
So that's the main focus for the game, in our opinions. We want to have the world be interactive by all means, so that everything, every object, every enemy, every piece of, I don't know, everything basically has health, and everything can be used or interacted with. So even houses can burn and can eventually just crumble down to dust, and everything is interactable. So you can actually push down trees, you can freeze rivers, you can use pits to just drop enemies inside. So if, for example, you're fighting a very tough boss or something like that, if you play smart, you actually can kill him with one blow, just pushing him off a cliff or something like that. So that's the main focus we have on the game, to have interactable and physics-based interactions.
Well, that was one of the things that I noticed playing through this little demo. You know, you could kick an enemy into the water and he drowns, and in another case, you, I guess, again, kicked an enemy into the face of another enemy. You basically weaponized a little goblin. That's, I guess, the unique selling point as far as the combat goes in this one, because you're not the only tactical game out there. You know, XCOM has put out quite a revival in this area, but those ways that you can play with the environment, that's really unique, as far as I can tell, at least.
Yep, as far as we can tell as well. I mean, I'm a much fresher addition to the team. I only joined, it would be probably 8 months ago or so, and I'm a huge XCOM fan, and I just randomly met the founders, Adam and Yali, at a friend's, and they showed me a demo of the game, and the second, I mean, I wasn't really impressed. The art style was really nice, but, you know, there are many games in the genre overall. But the second he kicked that tree and the tree fell over and crushed the first enemy, I immediately told them, okay guys, what do you want me to do? This is it. This is an amazing concept. And since then, it only became more and more, it became deeper, and we keep adding things. Just in exactly 2 hours from now, actually, we're putting up an update to the demo that adds another major way to interact with the environments. Characters are going to be able to set up their own or other heroes' environmentals by moving parts of the scenery around without kicking it or destroying it, just by positioning it differently. And we did some tests, and it really adds a lot of depth to it. So our main focus and what we've been doing throughout the Kickstarter campaign is trying to demonstrate the kind of things one can do when he takes an XCOM-like game and adds in physics and full interactive environments. And we're only scraping the surface. I mean, this demo is, I enjoyed greatly, but we have so many more ideas for things you can do, like elemental states, have everything freeze and burn or get covered in acid, and change its physical behavior to match. For example, if you freeze the ground, you can push something much farther because it will slide, less friction. Since we're using a physics engine, everything has, you know, a mass. It has all sorts of parameters that define its behavior when it's used in different ways. So, I mean, you can probably hear how much the concept is exciting for me personally, as someone who loves turn-based tactics and has never seen anything like that. But, you know, if I didn't love it so much, I probably wouldn't be here anyway.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I like these turn-based games as well. They have certain charms to them. And I would say, as you mentioned, the art style, it's kind of cute. But having this unique feature, I'll keep saying that it is until somebody shows me that it isn't. Show me another game that has these kind of features, where you knock a pillar onto the head of a small goblin and kills it. That's kind of interesting. And anybody listening, once the interview's done, once you're done listening, go download the demos. It's really good fun.
Thank you. Really happy you enjoyed it. Guy has bled for that demo.
Literally.
Oi. Well, get the man a Band-Aid so he can make some more demos.
Oh, it's okay. I'm used to bites and slashes and blood, being a werewolf and all.
Makes sense.
No, I'm
Makes
kidding,
sense.
but there was a lot of sweat put into this demo for sure.
When you mentioned some of the different, setting up different things for different characters. So what I was noticing too is that there are different character types. Can you talk a little bit about the different character types that are in the game you can play as?
Yeah, so currently you have the 4 main classes, which are the Paladin, the Savage, the Ranger, and the Mage. And each of them has different kinds of abilities, you'd say, to interact with the environment, as well as abilities that can affect each other. So that's one of actually, that's the second thing we want to put the focus on, is to be able to combo all these abilities between the characters. So you'd be able to make the tactical aspect of it even more great and even more fun. So you not only think about how can I affect the environment and, I don't know, bend the physics and use it to my advantage, but also how you can use each of your characters to do it. Like, who'd be best to push this tree? Who'd be best to freeze that river? And then use the other character, for example, to get to be an advantage.
So, Guy, are we going to see the classical combos of a mage freezing the enemy and then the barbarian running over and headbutting the now frozen enemy until he shatters?
For example, yeah. Another example is something that we actually gonna introduce probably pretty soon in the game, and it's the ability for the paladin to heal her allies, for example. That was missing for some of the players who played, so that's one of the next thing we'll put in. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do actually. Also get advantage over the attack of opportunity we have in the game. So for example, pushing enemies towards the melee characters will have them just attack the enemies that come into sight. That's another thing. And then you don't have to waste the melee characters' action points, for example.
Well, and coming from a D&D background, that was one of the first things I wondered when I saw the character listing here, was it didn't seem like, other than possibly the paladin, there was much healing to be had. So I was curious, how much healing is there in the game, or is there planned for the game, or is this more roguelike where, once you kind of get beaten down and you lose a character, you've lost that character for a while?
Both things are kind of true. Permadeath is definitely a main feature. I mean, when a hero dies, he dies. However, in the full game, and probably later during our beta stages too, between missions you'll be able to recruit more heroes, change the composition of your party to match whatever tactics you want to play, or whatever. If you have information about the mission you're going to face, you can match your party for that. But if they die, they still die.
Okay, so permadeath is a thing, but I was looking at your dev blocks and you refer to a mage by her name, as if this is a static character. It's not a generic one. It's not one that's, generated by the game at random. So is there a risk that there are, critical characters that we can lose? Or can we just go out and recruit a new one and give them names?
So yeah, we were referring on the dev blogs to Leandra, which is the name we've given to the mage that you play on the tutorial. But it's nothing specific or binding. Like, it's for now, that's a character that you can actually play and always be Leandra if you play the tutorial on the demo. But in the actual game, we don't intend to have any heroes that are a must. Let's say that like that. So that you can lose every hero basically. We do have plans to introduce NPCs that are probably going to be other types of characters you'll be able to play with, and that'll have probably to survive or just play their part of the story, act their role. But the heroes themselves are going to be randomly generated. You'll probably be able to give them different names and different skin colors and just toy around with them.
Okay, so it's not permadeath is a thing, but it's not to the point that it can actually end your game.
Probably not, no.
Okay, fair enough. But then mages and all the environmental effects that you mentioned kind of got me thinking a little bit. Are there a point where, for example, you need a certain spell or need a certain skill to be able to traverse either within a mission or outside of a mission, such as, I think you mentioned freezing water or being able to blast your way through some trees or similar setups? Basically, are we going to run into headaches such as, well, here's an area, but you cannot play through it because you're missing skills or missing spells?
That's another thing we're putting a big emphasis on, that we don't want the game to become too easy or, just not put too much emphasis on leveling up your characters and grinding to better scores or something like that. The thing is, we want the player to become smarter. Like, if you'd be able to make smart use of the environment, then you'll become a better player for it. Not just because your heroes have leveled up and have new abilities. Definitely opens up more and more situational, I guess, gameplay tactics. But it's not going to be something that holds you back. You could always just have a fresh new band of heroes and be able to play whatever level you play. Might actually even be more fun. I don't know. Still have to check this one out. But we definitely don't want to put too much emphasis on grinding and leveling up, although that's a thing, and you'll be able to get new spells and have fun with it for sure.
But then, if I burn down a village, and I might already have burnt down a village, is that going to impact the game later on? Is that village burned down on the main map? Can I see in between missions? that village is now a block of, dust.
We definitely intend for mission results to have implications and to reflect on the world map and vice versa. We are planning to have some encounters to be fully random, like not part of any arc, not part of any story, just you're in a forest, so you stumble upon dangerous creatures. And those specific missions might not have an immediate reflection in the world map because they are, random and not part of any of the processes that your party goes through. But otherwise, yes, like if there's a mission in a village, it's very likely the results will reflect on the world map.
Okay, nice.
Well, and you had mentioned starting over with the new party of characters. So does the missions or the world, does it auto adjust based on your character level and the powers that you have?
So we still didn't figure out how a whole campaign is going to work out. We still have a very, very early game to show. Right now it's only pre-alpha on the Kickstarter, and we definitely have still things to figure out how we're going to do. And the campaign, like having a full campaign from start to finish, is one of them. So yeah, we're always working on the strategic layer right now. We want to introduce the world map as soon as possible. So we can't answer all these questions just yet, just because we don't know ourselves how it's going to play. But it's definitely going to be a sort of game. Like when I think of the world map, the best example I can give is Heroes of Might and Magic, but not in terms of having a base that you have. Yeah, exactly. But not in terms of like having a castle that you have to maintain and the base to build. Also, I mean, that might be in as well. We still don't know exactly what we want to do with it. But more in terms of how you explore the world with different parties and always able to recruit new heroes, just accomplish whatever you need to accomplish in this world. So that's the play style we're aiming for with the world map.
Sorry, Guy, you have to be careful. I'm going to start throwing money at my screen soon.
Okay, I'm ready to catch it.
Fair enough. No, Heroes of Might and Magic has a certain place in my heart. I love that game. Unfortunately, I don't play it anymore.
We all do.
Yeah, but okay, so we're going to kind of perhaps avoid the base city building, but run around a similar map and have the whole recruitment, and might I dream of also some of the resource management.
Yep, we're still, again, we have like several competing prototypes, shall we say, that we're still trying to mix and figure out the best way to actually implement it. But I think we're probably going to have something to show within a few weeks. We're starting to have good progress there.
Oh, I'll have to come back and download another version then.
Do that. That's why we keep posting them week after week. We hope the changes we make are enough to show where we're headed at all times. I mean, we're aiming to develop with our community. Right now, it's mostly our backers, but down the line, it's basically whoever has the game and wants to participate when it comes to early access and forums, etc. And whenever we're in doubt, I mean, sometimes when you're developing, there's a eureka moment and there's no question about it. It has to be in. But most of the time, there's, suggestions. Some of them sound better to some people, others to another group. And eventually, whenever we feel like we're getting stuck on a certain question, it's always the community that solves it for us. I mean, it's easy to lose sight. I mean, when you're developing a game and you see it all day, every day, it's easy to lose sight of how it feels and how a new person playing the game experiences it. So, I mean, whenever in doubt, it's always up to the community to decide which way we're going to take.
I noticed this looking both at Kickstarter but also at Game Jolt. You are being quite attentive to the feedback, the comments from both backers and people who tried the demos and these pre-alpha builds. And I guess that is kind of the way to go forward. If there's any uncertainty, put it out to the players. See what ideas they have.
I would just want to say that for us, feedback is gold. That's the first game that we're trying to pull off as a new indie company. First game we're all doing together. And just like Shay said, at some point you just can't look at it anymore and just feel how it is to be a new player seeing the game. So everything we do, everything with the game we do is because we love it. We want to make this game and we want the community to love it as well. I mean, we're developing a game mostly because that's what we love to do, and we hope that the other people who play it will love it as well. And that's why their feedback is so important to us. We always listen to whatever people suggest. I'm glad to say that we have thought about a lot of the suggestions we've heard so far. It's just that we're only 9 people and not everything can make it in so fast. But we have so many more ideas and would love to hear everyone's suggestions to really understand what people want from the game to become eventually.
Well, since you guys were talking about community, I guess one of my questions would be, with regards to multiplayer, what types of multiplayer options have you maybe considered? Because so far what I'm looking at, everything looks like it's single player.
That's a great question and an interesting timing too, because just a few days ago we opened our first community poll, and our question was pretty simple. What do people want to add? We were starting to think about stretch goals, assuming we make our base target, and we realized that, each of the team members has different things he would really like to put in beyond, the core features that we already have there. And one of the options in that poll was multiplayer modes, because we wanted to understand. We had many people ask us about that, and we were wondering whether it's, a landslide thing. And surprisingly, the poll did not go that way. We were genuinely surprised, because we were already starting to plan multiplayer logic, because we were so certain that that would be what people want the most. But people voted for more content, for a new environment. We're actually going to post an update with the poll results in about an hour and a half from now.
I would say I can kind of understand that. It might be me looking at XCOM, looking at the older XCOM, I should say. It is a bit of a single play. It is that whole sit down and just work your way through all these little, how do you solve this? How do you beat the enemy in this mission? What are the criteria you need to meet here? It's less about the apologies, Drogon. It's less about how do you play with or against your friends.
But to answer the question directly, most of our players prefer online co-op, at least according to the poll we had. We have tons of ideas, for both versus and co-op modes, but, since the community voted to prioritize just more content and more variation in our level generation, that's what we have to focus on right now, and that's what we will do. But, if we pass that stretch goal, we'll probably be looking at things again, because while talking about it, we've had ideas that we really want to see happening when it comes to multiplayer. I personally fell in love with the concept of making versus multiplayer that plays out a bit more like chess, to kill the dead times in play, and have a person able to play a multi-table, like versus 2 or 3 people at once, and when it's not his turn, someone else can play someone else, etc. But we have all sorts of ideas and basic logic for that. But again, as long as the community prefers our efforts to be focused on more raw content, more environments, more story, that's where we're headed.
I love that you guys are taking polls from the community and taking their feedback, very seriously and implementing that. And with regards to multiplayer, especially considering it's turn-based, I guess for me, a lot of times that does make sense, more so for single player than multiplayer. But I was kind of curious because, when done right, multiplayer can work, but it doesn't necessarily have to be fit into every game.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, there's always Faux Triumph 2 to discuss.
And Drac, just think about this one for a moment. Do you really want to play a multiplayer game, for example, with Grit, where every move will take 10, 15 minutes?
Like I said, when done right, there'd have to be a time limit.
Play by email, man.
Oh, man. That was back in the day.
Oy.
Move Ranger to A3.
Okay, guys, you already mentioned Kickstarter and saying, things like stretch goals, etc. And one of the topics I noticed that came up in a couple of places, actually, is this: why are you seeking crowdfunding as opposed to, going it yourselves, looking for investors, etc.?
Well, it basically boils down to 2 things. The first is that when it comes to investors and at least a couple of publishers that we have been in touch with before, we're kind of hooked on our independence. And the moment an offer comes along, it has to still enable us to do our thing. If we didn't like our concepts and our ideas, we wouldn't be developing anyway. And we don't want interference in our process when it comes to actually making the game. And basically it's a balance of keeping our independence and still getting the resources we need to devote our full attention and our full time, because many of us up to now have been basically working another job to be able to develop the game with our spare time for the most part. And in order to change that, we have to get resources. And at least in the short time we've been looking at it in gathering resources in the last few months, Kickstarter seemed to be the most reasonable approach because, I mean, it's also a way to actually test our concept. I mean, it could be that we have looked at it for so long that we're in love with it. And maybe when it goes out there, it's not interesting for people. But once we started putting out the demos and the public tests, we got so motivated because the feedbacks we're getting are fantastic. People playing the game see what we see. And even, I mean, in the last few weeks, we even had people actually send us suggestions that appeared almost word for word in our own meeting summaries. People understand our vision so well, their suggestions are as valid and as good as members of the dev team. So even if originally Kickstarter was a way to figure out whether this is a game that will work, that will sell in the market, and get our resources for developing it further, right now it became a bit more than that for us. We're definitely much more invested than we used to be since we started getting in touch with people and starting to know people beyond our close circles, people who just love our game and are looking for ways to help it. It's amazing for us the last few weeks.
So if I boil all that down, it's artistic freedom and it's that community of engaged players.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's not like we're negating anything. I mean, if we get a good offer from a good publisher that will allow us to develop our game with more resources than we can get otherwise, that would be fantastic. We probably will seriously consider it. But right now, Kickstarter seems to be the best possible choice.
And I guess it doesn't hurt. I mean, I looked at who's kind of been talking about you. Getting people like In Exile Entertainment to kind of have your back and sending people over there, that's gotta help.
Oh yeah, that was amazing of them. Not only In Exile blew us away when they mentioned us in their Wasteland 3 update. We danced in the office a bit, a little jig. But even before that, Obsidian pledged our campaign during the first week and surprised us. I mean, we didn't know it's going to happen. We suddenly see Obsidian Entertainment has pledged for your cause. It was a huge shot of motivation. And the Banner Saga team also sent us a good shout out. We're getting tons of support from other developers and the community of players. It's really great.
Very heartwarming.
Yeah, all I can say is I can see why, because again, it looks like a really good game for what you have so far, at least the demos. And your ideas are kind of awesome. I like this unique selling points. I can see why they would.
Thank you.
It's slightly about timing, though, and I guess, Shay, this is a little bit for you. Greenlight, you already passed that last year. Isn't that a bit early?
Well, not really. I mean, Greenlight was a surprise for all of us. I mean, I wasn't part of the team back then. And in fact, many of the current team members weren't around back when Greenlight happened. It was, I think, a guy, let me know if I'm wrong, but I think it was 4 or 5 people back then.
Yeah, you're wrong. It was basically almost everyone we have now. 7 out of 9 people we have now.
7, yeah. And basically, up to Greenlight, it was still, I mean, we showcased in a couple of conventions even before Greenlight, which got things really started. But Greenlight gave us a substantial approval. I mean, Greenlight was the first time complete strangers who we haven't met in person in a convention or personally sent them an invite saw gameplay bits of the game, and people got really excited. Again, every time where we get approval that our vision is in the right direction and that people want to play that, that's a huge boost for us, because that's what you fear the most. At least that's what I fear the most, working on the game, that we'll do something that's for us but doesn't work for others. And that's not the point of making the game. The point of making the game is bringing that concept, bringing that new aspect of the turn-based formula to everyone, to make it accessible and fun and have people embrace it as part of the genre the way that we always thought it should be, basically.
That sounds about right. I mean, you're building a community around the main gameplay mechanic, and just looking at some of the videos that I saw of it gets me kind of excited because I remember when Red Faction did the same thing for shooting games, when all of a sudden massive amounts of the level were destructible, and you could work your way around to objectives just by tunneling through using like a rocket launcher or something, which I know is a complete different style of gameplay than this, but the fact that you can interact with the environment in these ways makes it really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're aiming for. And again, the current pre-alpha is honestly just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we have about probably 3 or 4 times the current interactions planned. We have tons of combos down the line because right now we're trying to test things mostly separately. I mean, we are balancing, but we're mostly testing each ability's performance and, fixing bugs a lot at this stage, etc. But what we're aiming for is synergy between heroes and their different abilities. So you mentioned the mage freezing someone and the savage headbutting him to shrapnel. Well, that's definitely something that you can see in the game later on. But we're trying to aim for way more complex interactions. Things that have to do. Again, we want to squeeze the most out of the fact that we have built a physics engine in the game, and physics has. I mean, it's not only about freezing or setting things on fire. It's about how things impact each other when they are thrown at each other or when they drop on each other, etc. And later on, we hope to have each character with his own array of not only offensive abilities, but also utility abilities, like ways to manipulate the surrounding. Maybe, for example, one of the ideas that we ruled out for now, but was around for a while, is allowing the savage to break through walls in a single turn, regardless of their HP, as a thing that she can do. So we're toying with ideas all the time, and in parallel with adding new abilities and new interactions, we're also constantly improving the environments, making more parts of the environments interactable. We're aiming to make everything in the environment interactable down the line. Right now, you can't really push houses at people, which makes some sense, but you can set them on fire. And down the line, we really hope that even things as big as a house will have components you can interact with or break parts of or make way, just like you described, basically.
Like dropping a ceiling on somebody by taking out certain planks or parts of the house.
Yep, we actually started. One of our objectives in the current demo actually revolves around dropping the ceiling. However, it's not very clear because we don't have a dropping ceiling animation in there yet, but it will be there.
Well, I guess Guy knows what he has to do. Animate a dropping ceiling.
Next on my list.
Okay, so slightly because I started thinking about it while you were talking right now, can you pick up things and interact that way? And I'm thinking things like frying pans that may or may not be greasy, and goblins. Can you use them as weapons? Can you punch other people with them? We saw in the demo you can kick with them, but pick up and utilize?
Yeah, so exactly that's what I was starting to say. As he said before, we've just added the lift ability to all of the characters, so now you'll be able to lift stuff from one place to another. And that's the beginning of a new mechanic that we're trying to introduce about using the environment in terms of making sure you can align interactions so they'll be more fun this way. And frying pans, that's the first time I hear about it, but that's such a great idea. I think I'm going to add frying pans to the next build or something.
I may have been reading too many Dungeons and Dragons books, the thing about people using frying pans to punch other people with.
Great, I love it.
Yeah, sounds like Dragonlance.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where we get them to try and put bacon in the frying pan before it gets picked up.
Oh my god, and bacon also
That's
boosts your
wasteful.
HP.
Sorry, I didn't catch any of that.
I was saying that the bacon will also boost your HP.
Do you know what? We suggest that for every game. Add bacon.
But regarding things you can pick up, we are planning to introduce some tactical pickups like potions. Potions are already in the demo, but adding some maybe some scrolls, maybe some grenades or bombs, things you can throw. But we are focusing right now on making sure that everything we add has tactical meaning, because eventually that's the core of the game. We are working on the world map, but that also has to directly contribute to the tactical layer, which is the heart of the gameplay.
I can only say that I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we can't wait to have you guys playing the full game. We just need to get there in one piece.
Well, getting off a little bit about the gameplay and looking forward, as I mentioned, you're already out with this pre-alpha demo on Windows PC, Linux, Mac OS, and your website also lists PlayStation 4 and X1, the Xbox One, I should say. The latter seems to be, is that stretch goals? Is it, if you can get the dev kits, etc.?
So the Xbox version is pretty certain. I wouldn't say 100%, but pretty certain. We already have the development kit en route. It should get to us hopefully in a few days or a couple of weeks.
Nice.
So we are starting to work on that. However, both the Xbox and the PS versions we're planning to have them at full release, not at early access. So there's time before we'll be able to show anything on the consoles. I mean, our alpha, beta, and early access phases are all going to be on PC, Linux, and Mac.
Well, and I've got to ask for Bamm because he loves the Nintendo Switch. I think he's got a pillow made up that he sleeps with that looks like a Nintendo Switch. So is there any chance you guys have considered releasing this in the future for the Nintendo Switch on their indie market?
So the game's developed in Unity. So basically, we could export to whatever console we'd like that Unity supports, I mean. And Nintendo Switch is definitely one of them, and we were thinking about it as well. So like the only thing I'd say that stands in our way is the fact that we're an indie studio, and you can't just build for a different console and hope that everything's fine, because you have to test it around a lot and make sure that it actually works, and then support tech help for that console. So we definitely want to have Switch. We definitely even thought about mobiles and stuff like that. We're still not sure what we want to do with it furthermore. But it's up to the fact that we are a small indie studio and we're self-funded, and that's all we can promise for now. Will be probably just the Xbox and the PlayStation.
Now, Guy, can I just add, if you do mobile, and I have a smartphone that's not supported by Unity at all, but cross-play, as in if I can play on my Mac here and then move over to a portable device while I'm out and about, even if it's just for the overland, the non-mission part, that would work for me.
Sounds amazing, but that's a question to ask our programmers. Not sure what's Unity's capabilities in that regard.
Yeah, it's also a whole headache with backend if you need to transfer a game from one platform to another or a save game.
I mean, in terms of the data itself, it's not that complex. It's just a question of whether Unity knows how to translate, a state from one platform to another, which is a great question that we're going to have to figure out later.
Well, as I said, ultimately, even on a mobile platform, it doesn't have to be the full game because, okay, it's a turn-based game. That can be done on mobiles. But even if there's just a strategy element to the overland part, to the part where you're just looking at a map, that could be worth playing.
That's a great idea.
And we just delayed the game by another few months.
Quite possibly, but no. We're really trying to hit all our deadlines, and at least up to now, we mostly managed to. So here's hoping we won't have to delay for anything. The funds we're trying to raise are meant to make the time until early access starts more packed and more productive, allowing us to focus harder and focus more of our time, and hopefully get to early access with a substantial beta that actually tests all of the basic systems rather than just the tactical layer. But one way or the other, we fully intend to meet our deadlines. We can't drag this out.
Well, no, because it costs money to make games. I saw you have a new office. That probably also cost a little bit. So I do hope you hit your deadlines, etc. Okay, Drac, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I have kind of a what might be like a silly or quirky question for Guy. When you've been doing the animation, every once in a while these videos will come out online from different development companies where you see something really strange or funny that's happened unexpectedly. Have you run into anything like that when you've been working on animating and putting things into the game where something kind of unexpected or quirky.
The Flintstone bug.
Yeah.
What was that?
We have a Flint.
I'm gonna
we
post
had,
it for
actually.
you.
It's it's fixed already, but we had the Flintstones bug where we worked on getting out of cover animations where your characters move away from the cover in order to shoot at the enemies or something like that. And they had these. I don't have a better word for it than the Flintstones. It's just it was so much fun in it.
Oh, I'd love to see a video of that because
It basically made one of the models like tiptoe around the cover instead of walking. It looked hilarious. I'm gonna link it for you just so you can see it.
It's like radically tiptoeing out of cover and then shooting. It was really funny.
nice. Yeah, things like that come up unexpectedly usually are worth a good laugh.
Funny because also one of the things we've just been talking about in the office is adding mannequins for the characters. So once they die, they'll just fly around like they used to do in XCOM 2, and that made so many laughs on the internet. That's definitely something we want to add soon. Just seeing the enemies fly around once you push them away, and yeah, I hope it'll be fun.
Sorry, I was looking at that link, and that's hilarious. It almost looks like they're tap dancing.
Yeah, we used to have a GIF looping it in the office. We had fun with it.
All right, so I'll bring us around to our final question that we generally like to ask folks, and that is, what type of bacon do you like? How do you like it cooked? And what type of beer or cider or other beverage would you prefer to have with said bacon?
Well, it's tricky. I don't know if you know, but in Israel, pork is not allowed. Like, not just not allowed. It's not kosher. So whoever's Israeli and religious
So in
don't eat bacon.
consequence, I like my slices thick. I like to fry them in a pan with butter, and I like to have them with a stout. Thank you.
That'll be my preference as well. Definitely.
I mean, our office is right on top of one of the only non-kosher places to buy bacon, like, around, so that's easy enough.
That's a savor.
That sounds like you planned it.
Yeah, it was a happy coincidence, more like.
Well, I know those. I used to work in a place that was literally on top of a brewery.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah, Denmark's most expensive brewery, so...
Well, I knew based on where you guys were that might be a little bit of a tricky question, but based on us joking about bacon earlier and then G giving me the go-ahead, I figured it'd be okay.
I don't know. I'm fine with it.
We're all fine with bacon. None of us is religious in any way, but
we do have one. That's why I'm saying.
Right, we have one. But it's a tricky question because it's not like we have a huge selection. You have like one place or two places where you can buy bacon in walking distance, and that's it. So
yeah, that's what I meant. Like, it's not a thing for us to, I don't know, eat breakfast bacon, eggs.
Speak for yourself. During the weekend, I totally have bacon for breakfast.
Yeah, weekends, obviously. We have some places that are like dedicated for English breakfasts and amazing.
Yeah, I would just mention a few weeks back we had a guy from Lebanon on as well. And he also basically said, yeah, it isn't that he doesn't want it, he just can't find it.
Oh yeah, Lebanon is a bit more strict than Tel Aviv for sure.
Okay, so, Shay, Guy, it's been awesome having you guys on. It's been fun playing the game. It's been interesting hearing about it as well. All I can say is I've enjoyed this last hour. At least I hope our listeners have as well. You say there will be an update in about 2 hours. That means well before we actually release this episode. So it's already out there for anybody who's listening. I shall go download it. I shall go and play it because, again, I liked it. For anybody out there, go check out the Kickstarter. Go check out, Game Jolt because they put some updates there. Go check out the dev blogs. That's kind of interesting. There's some good details in there. And for me, there's nothing much else to say than people support these guys. I think they do deserve it.
Thank you so much for having us, guys. It's been great. Had fun.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. It was real fun being here today.
And Drake, I also expect to hear your thoughts and feedback. You can email me after you give the demo a spin. Right?
That sounds great. That's actually one of the things I wanted to say on the way out was I can't wait to get my hands on the demo and give it a try. This looks like a lot of fun.
You'll have to, because I need some footage for this episode.